24th Planning Commission meeting for the Borough of Hatfield. Roll call?
Kenneth Farrell,
Yes.
Lawrence Stevens,
Here.
Larry Burns,
Here.
John Cresser,
Here.
Michelle Cresser,
Here.
Jamie Snyder. Here.
I have a motion to approve the October 24th agenda as presented.
Make the motion.
I have a motion, do I have a second?
Second?
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. I have a motion to approve the July 11th, 2022 meeting minutes.
Make the motion.
I have a motion, do I have a second?
Second.
Second, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. Old business, Edinburgh Square.
Just a quick update, they're still going through the construction phase of their development. Next, they are working with Steve and the borough to complete the full width mill and overlay for, in front of the 3 houses that they're required to do, so that's gonna be next on their list.
Is that this year?
Yeah, they had stated that they wanted to get it done this year. So Steve was out there talking to them, late last week to try to, coordinate that.
Anything else?
No.
43 Roosevelt update.
So I have no update for 43 Roosevelt. We have not heard from, the developer, moving forward. I know they got, preliminary and final from Planning Commission and Council, and then after that, they've kind of went a little bit silent, working on some other projects, so hopefully things will pick up soon.
200 North Main Alliance Housing Development update.
Alliance Housing got their zoning hearing board, variances granted for the township and the borough. They applied for their tax credits. I spoke to the developer, he's hoping to hear back in January 2023 if they're gonna get their tax credits. And it was just released on, I think, Thursday or Friday last week that they did receive a $500,000 grant for, their facility to move forward from Naligary's office.
Bennett's Court.
Bennett's Court received a final from council, and they're working their way through the quitclaim process and then recording and hopefully catching up on some payments that they have to make for EDUs and those type of things, getting a developer's agreement and hoping to have a shovel in the ground shortly.
28 North Market.
28 North Market Street, the Zampiri property, received a preliminary final from council, and they are moving forward, working on the easement agreement that they have between them and the neighbors, and once that's signed, then they're gonna work on recording.
Good. Anything else for old business? Hearing none. New business, open burning draft ordinance.
So this ordinance was presented at council last week. It came from the Planning, Building, and Zoning Committee. Basis of the ordinance is to just allow recreational burning in Hatfield Borough. So there are some regulations that were added to describe what like a fire containment device would be, and then everything under one, including B, C, and the rest was all additions to this ordinance, which just addresses what recreational burning would be, how many feet away from your home, what the device should look like. There was a lot of questions and interest in allowing for recreational burning. There still would be no considered open burning in the borough for leaves and yard waste and those things, just recreational, that you'd be allowed now to have a fire pit. The only comment that we made and changes are, and the updated one is at your places, is council wanted something other than the term open burning, because they felt that open burning kind of just put a broad title on it, so they were gonna keep, I think, reword it in as calling it fire prevention, fire protection, instead of open burning.
I just got a couple.
Sure.
Fire, under 7-103C1, fire containment devices to employ a lid completely enclosed, with a chimney, blah, blah, blah. what about if it's just a stone fire pit? Should there be a definition for that? Because a lot of, they make them out of, or did you talk about that?
Larry brought that up in the planning, building and zoning committee of what we would, if people wanted to basically build their own fire pit out of bricks or those. But I certainly, we kinda talked about it and, you know, I think it was just, we didn't really feel one way or the other, so we left it out. But I certainly can bring it up and council can, we can add
Well,
it.
I don't want to see somebody get dinged for
Yes.
having that type of structure. What about ash disposal? There's not really, and again, maybe it's not a big deal, but should you wanna dispose, you wanna dispose of it in an appropriate manner per DEP, you don't want it, thrown in the streams or the creeks we have here in town, or, you have to be careful putting it, because some people, I've seen where they take the hot coals and they put it in a trash can and the whole thing lights and ignites it. So, I don't really know exactly what to put down, but should we address that? That's my question.
Yeah, maybe we can call out some type of container to dispose your ashes in. If you have like a fireplace, you put them in the tin, you wanna call them bins.
Let it cool
Let it
down
cool,
before you
yes.
put it in the trash or something like that, or, you can use it for, some people use it for organic, composting
Yep.
and stuff like that. Again, I don't,
Clean it the next day, that way you don't have to, like you just mentioned, hot ashes.
Yeah, and has to be completely out too. There's
yeah,
a section about that too. Has to be out and not left unattended.
yeah. So can ignite.
Yeah, that's in there, and it also says about having water to be
Yeah.
able to put it out.
Yeah, I know, I did see that.
I can add those two comments from the planning commission. Council's gonna talk about it again at the November 2nd meeting.
Alright, well, that's a couple of my concerns. Anybody else have anything else to add to bring forth to council? Alright, hearing none, are you looking for a recommendation from the planning commission or just our comments?
It was just gonna be your comments, but if you wanna make a recommendation, I certainly will share that with council. I think especially probably on the bin one, because it's zoning,
Okay.
the collection bins would probably be good, that you would recommend it.
Alright, so is there a motion to approve the ordinance, with the comments we discussed tonight? I have a motion, do I have a second?
I'll second.
I have a second, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. The next. Alright, the next one is leash law.
This ordinance came about in public safety, and then we also talked about it in planning, building, and zoning. The basic consensus or concern was that some people walking their dogs in the borough didn't have them on leashes, and really our ordinance specifically said that they must be leashed in parks. Didn't say everywhere in a public area, just kind of addressed parks. So the lieutenant said Hatfield Township has one that just says public area. And so we mirrored it off of that, just to know if anyone was walking down the street or in a park or whatever, that dogs had to be controlled at all times. From council, their suggestions were, instead of just saying dogs, we could do dogs and pets in general, which would be any animal you wanna have on a leash. So that was changed, and then in section, under leash law, in the first section, it says no animal shall be admitted in a borough, and then we just changed that to public area rather than park, and it just talks about that all dogs must be on leashes that can't exceed 6 feet and must be under control at all times.
The only thing that I would add redundant, because unfortunately people can't read these ordinances, I would put a comment, I would put including public right of way.
Okay.
Because, believe me, and this happens to me all the time, you get into a fight with somebody because they'll say public area, and they say, well, I wasn't in your park. Well, no, you weren't, but you were in the public right of way. I would include in public right of way, I would belt and suspenders, but it saves a conversation in the future, because, you know, people will construe what public area means. And if you, because 90% of people walk their dog on the street. They walk in the right of way, they walk on the sidewalks. That way you can just be, but that's just my fault. Does anybody else have any other comments, concerns, questions? Do we want to make a motion to approve the ordinance as presented with the comments? I have a motion, do I have a second? I have a second, all those in favor say aye. Opposed? The ayes have it. All right, collection bin, draft ordinance, and there's an updated copy.
This ordinance would actually amend the zoning ordinance to allow collection bins, as described in this ordinance, to be considered an accessory structure and permitted only in the industrial district and commercial district. So how this ordinance came about was, we talked about it at planning, building, and zoning, but business owners were asking to have collection or clothing bins at their location, and we had nothing in Hatfield Borough that says you could, or nothing that says you couldn't. So currently now there are 2 collection bins in the borough. One is located at Vinnie's and one is located at the laundromat, almost at Santucci's, down on East Lincoln Avenue. So this just kind of puts in requirements and regulations. If somebody would like to have a collection bin at their location, they would need a permit, they would need a signed agreement by the property owner. This currently only allows them to be located in the industrial district and the core commercial district, the commercial district, because the committee felt that we wanted to keep the core commercial district just more inviting and walkable downtown. We did the revitalization down there, so we're trying to keep the bins out of the core commercial district. It says you can have 1 bin per property, and then it gives some regulations on, you know, what the bins had to look like, the size, the communication for them. The other 2 ordinances did not have any comments from the zoning officer. The zoning officer made a comment on this ordinance to just ask if there were already bins that were located within the borough, that if council adopted this, would they be grandfathered in, or would they be in violation of this? And it was determined, because they were issued without a permit, because there was nothing to issue, that they would be in violation. That was his only comment.
Do you find that the bins we have now get overfilled and not collected?
I don't feel I feel that way at Vinnie's, but I can say I have in the past. The one behind the laundromat has been filled, and it has had stuff on the side as well. But it was more, like toys were located on the side, not bags of clothes. Sometimes you'll see that happen at the one at Giant, where people leave stuff that really isn't supposed to be left.
Yeah.
And I know this calls out for some regulations, and that you could, you know, contact people. They have to clean it up. If they don't clean it up, the permit gets revoked.
Are they gonna give, the people that are currently have the bins, so if they're gonna call them in violation, are they gonna give them like X amount of time? I mean, it's gonna sound really nasty if we send them a letter and says, you're in violation.
Yeah,
Geez, you just enacted this thing, you know?
Yeah.
Is there some kind of time frame?
Yeah, I would think that they would work with the zoning officer. Bob would give them, like, whether it's 30 days, 60 days, whatever it would be decided, to let them know and contact somebody and move them.
What are these, what's that zone? What's Vinnie's and
It's clothing.
Vinnie's is zoned, commercial R3, so, or commercial R3 / R3. And Santucci's or the laundromat down there is core commercial as well.
So it's not permitted in either of those two districts.
No,
Yeah, the zoning officer would send a notice of violation, and then they would have the right to appeal it and go to the zoning hearing board, or move them, or, you know, move them to a place that's permitted use.
In the borough, what's the permitted uses everywhere?
so you could only have them in the commercial district or the industrial.
Yeah.
So that is, if you wanted like Todd Walker's business, where the old LA Fun Zone was, where it's the Candy now. Commercial goes all the way down to Talmenton Avenue, and at Talmenton out to Main, or core commercial goes there, and then it becomes commercial out here.
By the Hatfield convenience store, across the
Yes.
street, industrial,
Yeah.
Brooks.
Yep, Brooks, yes.
None of those locations have them, right?
No, just the Vinnie's and I believe it's actually behind the laundromat, but everyone says Santucci's because it's like right there. It's in between the two.
Do we know who owns those?
The Santucci's one or laundromat one has been there, so long, and Vinnie's is just recently within the past year that one popped up. So, I believe that one has the name of the company or,
But it's not, like, it's not Vinnie's. and-
No.
Okay.
no.
No, the reason I asked if there was a lot of clothing left there is, one bin is not a lot. Sometimes the reason they put two bins is because these companies don't collect them that often. So, if we had a problem with them not picking the product up, I would say we may wanna think about maybe let them have one with the option of two bins with the approval from the zoning officer or something like that. If we thought that it was a problem, but if it's not really a problem now, then I would just leave it at the one bin. I would probably add something to the effect of, not to block a parking space, or with the approval of the zoning officer, if they're going to make sure that they have enough parking, because like the township I work for, there's, they have these big parking lots, so you have hundreds of spaces. In our little town, you only have parking lot with 8 spaces, and if they're taking up 1 or 2 spaces because of the bins, we wanna make sure that there's enough parking. So, or maybe something location as approved by the zoning officer, or something like that, cause I don't, some of these places that only have a few spots.
Yeah, actually, 3B, they reference
Oh,
that.
do they?
Yeah, talks about not blocking site triangles, on-site circulation, required setbacks, landscaping, parking, or any other requirements.
Okay, alright, then we're covered then. We're covered, I didn't catch that.
Yeah, I thought I'd read that.
Guess that's all I have. Any other questions, comments, concerns? Do we want to approve this? Do I have a motion to approve this? I have a motion, do I have a second? I have a second, all those in favor say aye. Opposed, the ayes have it. Action items, is there anything additional given the action we already took?
No.
Alright, our next meeting is December 5th, assuming we have business. We should have this sketch plan.
Yeah, you'll have the sketch plan for 23 North, Main Street, and he will be presenting it that evening. He's on, the agenda for planning commission as now, unless he pulls a sketch plan. He's on for planning commission and borough council at the beginning of December.
Is there anything else for the good of the cause? Is there a motion to adjourn?
Motion adjourned.
I have a motion, do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the ayes have it, we are done.